So the Englund Gambit goes like this. After you sack the pawn and they take, one way to do it is bishop here pointing towards this pawn. And if they develop their knight protecting the pawn, you could offer them another pawn, because if they take and you go here, giving them a knight, they're losing if they take it. Because after take, you can go bishop takes f2, the king has to take, you take the queen, and you're winning the game. Another way to play is knight c6 attacking the pawn. If they protect it, you go queen here, adding more attackers to the pawn. And if they add more defenders, you go queen here, checking the king and attacking the bishop at the same time. Blocking with the queen is losing, because once you take, there's no way to guard the rook. If the queen goes here, bishop here, and you win the queen. The better move is blocking with the bishop. We still take the pawn, because if they go here protecting the rook, that's losing. You go here, and if the queen goes here protecting the bishop, we could simply take the bishop, and if they take back, that's a checkmate. After we take this pawn, they should go knight c3. We still go bishop here, but the best move is attacking the queen. And if we move the queen out of the way, knight to d5, and white has a better position. Because once we trade the bishops, there's no good way for us to protect this pawn, and white is winning. Let's go with the Englund Gambit. He accepted the gambit. Now I'll develop my bishop, point it towards this weak pawn. He develops his knight to protect the pawn. Now I'll play this move, offering another pawn, and this is where the trap is. I'm actually going to put my knight here. I'm developing my knight, but if he takes my knight, he loses his queen. Let's go for it. He took the knight, so now once I take this pawn on f2, his king has to take, and I'll win his queen. Let's take here. The king has to take, and now I simply took his queen. From here, we're just going to trade and win the game. And I eventually won by checkmate. Let's go with the Englund Gambit here. He declined the gambit, but let's develop the bishop pointing towards this weak pawn. He moves his pawn forward. I'm going to break principles, develop my queen early, hitting f2 and e4. It's okay to break principles sometimes. He only defended the f2 pawn, which means the e4 pawn is hanging. He blocks with the bishop, which means the g2 pawn is hanging. Now I'm hitting the... Let's go with the Englund Gambit. He accepts the gambit. Okay, I'll develop my bishop pointing towards this weak pawn. He develops his knight to protect his pawn, but I'll offer him another pawn right here. And then once he takes the pawn, I'm going to quickly put my knight here, so that way he takes my knight. He took the knight. Notice how his king guards the queen. So we're going to take on f2, forcing the king to take the bishop. And then we simply win the queen for free. He develops his knight to attack my queen. Let's just start taking all the pawns. Let's take here. And he left the game. Let's go with the Englund Gambit. He declines the gambit, but let's take the pawn, pulling out his queen. I'll develop my knight and attack the queen. Ooh, that's a mistake, because once I play bishop here, I win the queen. He took the bishop, but I'll just take the queen, and we're already ahead by a queen. My opponent resigned. Let's go with the Englund Gambit. He accepts the gambit. Here's another version. I'll develop my knight and attack the pawn. He develops his knight to protect the pawn. I'll play queen here, adding more attackers to the pawn. And here's the point. He develops his bishop to guard the pawn, but I'm able to check here, attacking the bishop and this pawn at the same time. He blocks with the queen, defending the bishop, but this pawn is hanging and there's no way to defend the rook. He moves the pawn forward, so let's just grab the free rook. And that's a successful Englund Gambit. And I eventually won by checkmate. Let's play Englund Gambit this game. He accepts the gambit. Let's develop our knight, hit this pawn. He protects the pawn with this pawn, but it weakens his king. Let's just develop our bishop, pointing towards this weak square. He develops his knight. Let's just go d6. We're offering him some more pawns. He takes the pawn. I immediately put my knight on e7. This one is a trick, by the way. He took the knight. If you notice, our queen is attacking the opponent's queen. I could take his queen and then his king takes back, but I don't want his king to take back, so I'm going to play bishop here and check the king. And then once his king takes, then I'm able to take his queen for free. Now I took his queen for free, and this is completely winning. He moves his bishop, so we take this pawn. Moves his knight, more free pawns. Moves his rook, we take more pawns. Moves his knight, more pawns. Okay, now I castle my king. Putting the knight here doesn't help because once I move my pawn here, I'm forking both of his knights. I can simply take, and I'm still attacking this knight. And my opponent resigns. Let's go Englund Gambit this game. He accepts the gambit. Let's develop the knight, hit the pawn. He defends it with the bishop. I'm going to put my queen here, adding more attackers with the intention of putting my queen here. Now I'm going to put my queen here, which checks the king, attacks the bishop, and attack this pawn on b2. Let's see how he responds to it. He pulls the bishop back. I'm going to take this pawn, attacking his rook. Bishop to c3 is a blunder because he's attacking my queen, guarding his rook. I'm going to put my bishop here. Now he's not able to take my queen because the bishop is pinned. And if he takes my bishop, I'll grab his rook. He moves the queen here to guard the bishop. I'm going to take the bishop with check, and once the queen takes, that's a checkmate. The Englund Gambit is back. He accepts the gambit. Let's develop the knight, hit the pawn. He protects it. Now we play queen here, adding more attackers to the pawn. Okay, he plays queen d5, which is an interesting way to defend, but I'll just play f6 here with the idea of attacking his queen. He took the pawn, so let's take with the knight, and we gain a tempo on his queen. He pulls back his queen, so let's play d5, controlling the center, preparing to develop our bishop. He took his bishop out. I like this move, knight b4, because it attacks his queen, and he has to be careful where he puts his queen, because that could be a fork. So he checks my king. I'm going to start by playing bishop d7. Now he has to worry about losing his queen or getting forked on c2. He took on b7 thinking, okay, he's attacking back my rook. But what he missed is bishop c6 just traps the queen. He took my knight, but that doesn't help. Let's just take. Queen is still trapped. He checked here, so let's just take the queen. Now we're just winning. Okay, he's preventing the fork here. I'm attacking it once, he's guarding it once. So let's play this move, adding more attackers to the pawn. He castles his king, but now the rook doesn't guard this pawn. So I'm able to play knight takes, and his king is already in check. He moves the king out the way, but now he puts his king on the file that my rook is on, which means once I check here, his pawn is not able to take, and I'm winning this rook. Now, instead of grabbing the rook, I'm going to start by taking the knight off the board, because if he takes my bishop, he's getting checkmated. He didn't take the bishop, so let's just grab this pawn with check. Okay, the king moves, and this is just checkmate in 2 moves. I'm going to take the knight, the king has to step here, and that's a checkmate. Let's go with the Englund Gambit. He accepts the gambit. I'm going to develop my knight and hit the pawn. And he develops his bishop to guard it. I'm attacking it once, so I'm going to play here. Now I'm attacking it 2 times. He's also guarding it 2 times, but now I'm going to play check. It hits the bishop, and it attacks the pawn and the king. He pulls the bishop back, but now we take the pawn on b2. I'm attacking his rook. Bishop c3 is a blunder, and I'm immediately winning the game, because once I put my bishop here, his bishop is pinned, which means it's not able to take my queen. He develops his knight, so we take the bishop for free, and we're already winning. He moves the rook. Let's develop some more pieces. Okay, that's also bad because once we take here, we're threatening to take on c2, which will win his queen. He moves the pawn. Let's give a check. The king moves out the way. I'm going to put my knight here because that's threatening a checkmate. He pulls his knight back, but that's just checkmate. 22-62. d4. Let's hit him with Englund Gambit. He accepts the gambit. Let's develop the knight, hit the pawn. He just plays e4, giving me back the pawn, and we're already in trouble. Oh boy. Okay, I'm not trying to move the same piece more than once against a 2200, so I'm just going to accept the fact that I'm down a pawn. He took, let's take with the bishop. At least I'm more developed than him. Let's go knight f6. We have to be optimistic. And he plays knight d2. I'm going to start by getting my king out the center and then target his king in the center. Then he pushes f pawn, which means this diagonal is open towards his king. Let's first put my rook on the same line as his king. And then he puts his bishop here. First bad move, because now I'm able to play knight d5, attack the bishop, and if the pawn takes, I grab this and check the king. Okay, now his queen and his king is on the same line. Okay, let's grab the bishop. Bishops are better than knights. He took with the queen. I'm going to go queen f6, threatening this, threatening this. I think we have compensation. He decides to castle his king, and now I'm going to go bishop e6, attacking this unprotected pawn. He moves over the king to guard it, so now we're simply going to play a6 to target the bishop. And then he took, terrible move by the way, because once I take, my rook gets the open file on his king. Okay, he develops his knight. We don't want to rush this. We don't want to rush this. Let's start by getting the rook up the file. Every single piece is in the game. He puts his knight on b3, and then I'm going to hit him with a5. We're going for that king. Okay, he plays f4, which means if I play this, he's going to fort me. But we don't care, right? Let's just play a4 anyways. I'm attacking the knight, and he moves his pawn to attack my queen. But I'm simply going to play the move queen to g6, putting it on the same line as his king. Knight is still under attack. We're still cooking. Okay, he moves his knight, so let's just move our bishop, and we're pinning his knight. We have the bishop here, and we have the attack on his king. Alright, he moves his queen, attacking my bishop. Let's put the bishop here, attacking his queen. We don't care about losing pawns when we're attacking the king. He captured my pawn here, and to create some more weaknesses, I'm going to play a3. I'm just trying to create weaknesses around this king. Okay, he took this. That surprised me, not gonna lie. But let's take here and attack his queen. We're not trying to trade queens, by the way. He's just taking all my pawns, so I need to be careful. Okay, now I'm going to put my rook here. I'm not trying to get any background checkmates. Okay, he's just trying to trade, which I understand. Let's play this, just not to get background. And then he plays this. Now, I'm going to take here to just weaken his king. And then he puts his knight here, and he's attacking my rook. I'm going to leave it hanging and attack back his rook. He moves the rook. Let's pull the rook back, attack the queen. Okay, let's take back 23 seconds. He goes here. Let's push a pawn. This attack is not going as planned. We have to move. We have to take. We cannot trade. We have 16 seconds. It's not going as planned at all. This attack is not going as planned. I'm attacking his rook though. Okay, let's take. And then I'm going to go here. Now I have two attackers on this pawn. Okay, let's give a check here. The king has to move. Now I'm going to go here, trying to check. Oh, fuck. Oh. Englund Gambit again. Okay, he accepts the Gambit. I'm going to play the trick version, which is the one that I'm not recommending you guys to try. But I'll develop my bishop to c5. And the whole purpose of this is to win his queen. He then develops his knight. And I'm actually going to play d6, just offering him another pawn. He took the pawn, and again, this is a trick. I'm not playing the best moves, but I'm going to play knight e7, offering a pawn, hoping that he takes the knight. This is hope chess. Don't play hope chess. He took the knight, but we're going to win his queen with something called removing the guard. Now, how it works is his king guards the queen, so I'm going to play bishop takes f2. Now, it forces his king to take, and once his king takes, we take the queen, and we're winning the game. Follow for more videos like these.